Why, hello, folks. Well, we're running a little late, but all the same, happy Monday to you all. And welcome to what is going to be, I think, a very special episode of the Mechpit Chat, where tonight we are going to be talking about a current anime. Uh, Unfortunately, I should have probably pulled some clips from said episode for this, but all the same, we do have the brand new Mobile Suit Gundam series, GQuuuuuuX. Uh, Pick your poison on how you want to name this one. But all the same, guys, this is what I've been looking forward to. It certainly feels like a bit of a step up from the Witch from Mercury the last season, and plus we're kind of back to dabbling in the Universal Century timeline, so we get to have fun with some more familiar characters. So with that said, let me go ahead and bring these fine gentlemen on here as we kind of get into the swing of things. Of course, we have a Punkwaddle as always. How's it going, my friend?
Pretty good. When I heard it was called GQuuuuuuX, I expected a duck, but I'm still happy with what I got.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever heard a penguin quack.
No, I don't think so.
Huh.
Hey,
Maybe Dash will know.
Nice.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. Don't know why they named it after a duck.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's one of these things that's just like makes perfect sense in Japanese. So like, unfortunately, my filthy gaijin ears don't quite understand just why
they ran out of letters. They ran out of letters for shows.
Well, see, the truth is they were playing Scrabble and they were getting down to the very end of the game.
So that's how they named it.
I mean, quacks, 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 Mr. Gundam, quacks, quacks, quacks.
Oh, Iron, you're breaking up a bit.
Okay, yeah.
I think.
Oh no.
Oh shoot. Oh shoot.
It's gonna be one of those days.
Well, anyway, what were you saying?
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Oh.
I wish I could.
I had just noticed it, and I thought we were back, but no matter. Yes. So we got our first episode of Gundam today, and this has been a bit of an interesting one to start with. So let me go ahead and pull up my screen here, and we'll at least have some visuals to reference as I pull up. There we go.
Oh.
So I guess to start with, the obvious place to start is the fact that we're in the main timeline, the Universal Century. Dash, as someone who's never really who hasn't really done a ton of Gundam, this probably doesn't mean much to you. So, I guess I should ask if you have any thoughts on all that going.
Well, you did explain like this is like an alternate timeline from the beginning events of the movie. So like Char's gonna get the Gundam, if I'm not mistaken, if the preview is to be believed.
Yep, that's by and large what we're seeing. We will be seeing next episode. But I mean, so we're getting a lot of great little world building stuff. We have all these space colonies. We have them collecting, garbage, and we have these special little rocket canisters to fly around in. Civilians have mobile suits.
Mm-hmm.
It feels lived in. It feels like there is some like honestly, it feels really lived in. Like I can't go to certain parts of town like
Yeah.
at all, without finding there are certain parts of town I can't go to and see a building that isn't covered in graffiti.
There's
Well,
there's a oh, go ahead.
it does seem a little more civilian oriented than the original series.
Well, I mean that was partially because the original series was us picking up 6 to 9 months into a war that had wiped out half of humanity.
There's that.
Yeah. And we had like one of the few small pockets of civilization that had not been touched by all that yet, then getting brought into it.
Mm.
Whereas this is a world in which all that stuff happened like a generation, like 10, 15 years ago. We've moved on. The war's over. We now have a generation of children that have grown up having never seen that war.
Oh, so like so it's not just like the outcome of who gets the Gundam that's different. Like the entire history is different in this. That's convoluted.
And it doesn't. Well, those of them that watched the movie probably seen it better. It doesn't really spell out that in the first episode. There's some curiosities about lore, right? That begs a lot of questions.
Like for example, the fact they were setting it, they mentioned a couple of notable names such as Caecilia, who is one of the members of the Zeon royalty, who we do see meet her end in the original series. She survived to the very end now, and is now like this supreme chancellor, this queen of the principality of Zeon.
Oh, so like the whole timeline's freaking different in this.
Yes.
In fact,
that's pretty good for newcomers, though.
In fact, someone who we only saw for about 2 or 3 episodes of the original series, I think it's kind of interesting because they're setting this guy up to be a more prominent character in the series. He's going to be this mentor who's sort of our character with the mysterious past that's going to be giving us the key to everything for the plot.
He's got a good design. I that stood out to me when I was watching this. He kind of like reminds me of kind of like a Gen 9 gym leader.
He does.
Oh, yeah, Gen 8. Gen 8, I mean. Gen 8. Mm-hmm. I meant Gen 8.
Like, it was like that new professor.
And who is he again?
This is Shalia Bull.
Okay.
He was in the original series. He was the new type before Layla, or was it time with Lala?
Yeah. Okay. And like I said, for a second, because when they said Char, and I was like, "That's not Char, obviously." But for a second, I was like, "Who? What?" Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of
It would help to an extent to have just recently watched the original series, but if you've seen it before, or even if you haven't seen it, it's okay. You're going to get reintroduced to many of these characters as we go. But by the way, yes, absolutely, you're right, Dash. He's got a fantastic design. Like he definitely glowed up, as they say.
I want to see if Ramba Rao survived.
Oh, I sure hope he did. He's gonna like go off and like he's gonna go have like 37 kids with his wife.
If this guy is like Suavemente here, just think of what Ramba Rao's gonna look like. That's all I have to say. But I'll stop fanboying for Ramba Rao.
So, I mean, the episode begins. We're introduced to Zeon coming in to Side 6, which was the Switzerland of the space colonies. It stayed neutral during the war. And here we have some of the Zeon forces coming to look into these mysterious reports of a red mobile suit. It's all led up to be fairly mysterious. So there's kind of this curiosity of like, what's going on? Why we're after a red Gundam, which it happens on occasion, but typically they're white and blue.
I'm gonna say that I did not like originally the Zaku legs at all, but now that I've seen them with kind of like with the skirt thrusters in with the upper thigh and the hip joint, I understand them better, and they still kind of look like chicken walkers, but I understand what they're doing with them better, so I can accept it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some interesting redesigns to the mobile suits, and I don't entirely hate them, but the issue is it's different.
Yeah.
You're kind of expecting for certain designs, and when they go and change that around, largely because one, we want to sell a new toy, but also time has progressed, so there should be some advancements in this.
This is
Yeah.
also a alternate universe, so I mean, redesigns are
They're
expected.
bound to happen. It's kind of like with Seed. There's a lot of things about the Gundams people like. They didn't like the characters, but a few other things, like even the Zaku's, got interestingly redesigned. But anyway,
so we got introduced to our two new protagonists like pretty early into, and I gotta say, as far as their designs go, I'm really liking Machu. I love the red and green color choices they have for her.
mm-hmm.
I think both these girls have some pretty solid designs to them. Although I don't think they've even still mentioned her name yet.
I don't remember if they did.
But I did notice the skirt shots.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
I think, I don't know. Yeah, I found them both kind of compelling. Like I said, they're very juxtaposed to. I mean, they're very dynamically different, yet in some ways kind of like alike. One's just a little bit more, trying to be edgy, and the other one's just calm and chill. And then all of a sudden, you start realizing that maybe the initial introductions, there's more to both girls, right? Pretty quickly as they interact.
Because these characters aren't being forced into a war. They're basically kind of surviving this. Well, Nyan, our black haired girl, who's got the darker, the black haired girl.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one doing all these kind of shady deliveries to try to make a quick buck. And she's a taller one. I think she's got a good design to her.
Well, she's also and what is she? Not an immigrant. What do they call them?
Orphan?
No, like she lives in the slums. Like the guys were chasing her down to shake her down because they could tell she was what? Refugee. Thank you. Yeah.
Yep.
So like one of them is proper and one of them lives in the dirty slums trying to make it out because she's a refugee. And so you have that dynamic already there.
Yeah, class dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Don't have to live like a refugee.
Oh, there it was. There it is. Next frame. There it is.
Okay, let's go ahead.
Yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah. Oh no, and then we keep going because Machu has to have hers too. She's just like, yeah, whatever. I'm just gonna hang down, and I gotta skip past that real quick. But it's gonna be a curious thing, I think, going into this to see how they might explain how history has changed, because certain elements of the original timeline will not have transpired.
Mm-hmm.
There's a potential for this all to be better. which would then just go ahead and justify the people who said Xeon did nothing wrong because it led to a better timeline, I'm sure.
Well, yeah. I wonder if Amuro existed or not.
I mean, Bright never slapped him, so he was never slapped onto the right track in life.
There you go.
So it's confirmed they won the war.
Yes. Yeah, in that initial scene when they were when you had the Xeon forces on the shuttle.
Yeah, it does. I saw a lot of them. So yeah,
Well,
they won.
Yeah, did you notice how it looks like a stumpy version of the white base, but I would call it the green base because it has a little more Xeonic green tinge as opposed to the white of the original.
Yep. It doesn't have the same. They stole the designs. They redeveloped it, and presumably they quickly worked in a lot of the new type technology. That's where we saw, the red mobile suit with the extra funnel bits.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that changes, because presumably they don't either they don't need as long of a launch pad, or perhaps they found a different way to launch over such a short notice of distance.
Yeah.
I mean, then again, if those funnel bits have the jets on them, they could even potentially use that as well in it.
Right. Like I said, that was just one of the very first scenes and very first moments. I was like, oh, that's a really stubby white base. Oh.
Yeah. They even have cracked phones in the future.
Yeah. Tablets. I like how it's, modern technology, but the same concept of screen tabs. I mean, we've seen that in sci-fi forever.
Oh yeah, and I noticed a lot of Japanese stuff when they do reboots, they'll integrate newer technology. I mean, even the FF7 remake did it.
Yeah.
So through all of that, we had Machu, of course, wanted getting our little contraband a hard drive, pocket shoved into her backpack, to which she's discovering and finding out oh, this is the weapon system for a mobile suit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in trouble if anyone finds out I have this.
Mm-hmm.
Which, a bit of an interesting choice, but in the short notice, beggars can't be choosers on where they're going to go and store this stuff. And at least Nyan had the foresight to put a tracker on it.
Yeah.
Which, for all credit, it works. It makes sense that she would have figured that out. But it also seemed pretty obvious that with a little blinking tracker on it, that you're going to figure it out pretty quick.
Yeah, so her stuff got mixed up with the other girls.
I think she planted it.
Yeah, exactly.
When she jumped over and knocked her over.
Yep, she was being chased by those guards, so she had to store the hard drive.
Yeah, that's why she ran directly into her bag and knocked her over and made her go.
Oh, you think they was smuggled intentionally?
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah, she was stowing it away.
Because this is the equivalent of you having a fighter jet, which, by the way, it is legal for you to own. However, the weapon systems are not active and you cannot activate them.
Oh yeah, I totally get this. This is like owning the keys to a fighter jet or some important war component. It's dangerous.
The codes. Yeah.
One more stuff in space going on. We get to see back with our boys in green.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
I am foreseeing he is going to be one of these characters that comes out of the series that's going to have quite a few cosplays.
Yeah. The other thing about this I find interesting so far is he's one of the oldest adults in the whole show so far. I mean, you have a few guards, but all the kids, and I say kids, people on his, I know it's the art style, but also all the people on his ship, they all seem kind of that younger, less
Yeah,
seasoned.
greenhorns.
Yes. Even the pilot of the Gundam seems a little green, even though he's like the top tier guy, right? He's the specialist who can't figure out how to activate it.
Andronus, you hit it on the head.
Yes.
Andreas. Bridge monies. But
That'll be a
the
thing.
thing is though, Shalia Bo was part of a special division in the original series that was supposed to be all new types.
Mm-hmm.
And so presumably all of these people on his ship here might also themselves be new types as well. Which explains why there's so many young people here, because these are all people who've grown up in that Minovsky particle enriched environment in which, we kept spreading them out just to, in order to, have mobile suits going. Space has a tendency to also lead to develop new types. There's a lot of stuff going on here that has potential to have larger implications about the larger universe.
What would be the purpose of having all these greenhorns on one ship?
Well, like I was saying, all right, so to kind of give you the explanation, new types in Gundam are essentially space psychics.
Mm.
They have a tendency to be able to handle more complicated machines, so they can handle a lot of the more complex ones that might have additional little tiny bits flying around them.
Yeah, I thought at least someone on the ship was psychic. Like I think the Gundam pilot might have been psychic. I got that impression.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. That's what they were kind of building up. It's like she doesn't know what this is, but she's basically being thrown into the deep end to.
Oh yeah. Oh wait, she might be psychic too. I just realized.
Exactly. Scale of 1 to 10, how thick was the Zaku 2?
I mean, the thighs were thick, but the ankles were tiny.
Yeah, no, that's actually a pretty good way to put it to Andreas.
I mean, as we've said, all this sci-fi stuff began in the 70s, and a lot of them kind of riffed off the same sort of sci-fi ideas.
Yeah. Proto Jedi is not a bad way to put it. And mind you, this was airing in 1970. The original series is 1979. That's before we got Empire
That's a
Strikes
year,
Back.
that's 2 years after Star Wars.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And a lot of those concepts were in the original movie, those psychic concepts.
But also you didn't have all the stuff to build up and explain it away. So it was very much made out to be mystic. Well, sci-fi loves to then take that concept and say they are psychics.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, you saw later in like the psycho frame of the new Gundam and stuff developed later in the Universal Century. But
what do we think about our new Gundam pilot? Or
is he really the Gundam pilot? Because I don't think he's the Gundam pilot. I think he's the test pilot, because he doesn't seem to figure out how to work the Gundam. And I think that's important for a Gundam pilot.
I don't know. He's not a very good pilot.
No. And plus it's like the system just kind of rejects him.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh yeah," they're like, "No, trust me, kid. You can totally do this. Like you're totally a new type, right?" And it's like,
Yeah.
He's not.
Nope. It won't turn on. What? No. Yeah.
You know, I did notice the face.
hmm If only he had like rabbit ears or something.
It's like the two things that stand out. The two things that stand out are like his flight suit and the mole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Other than that, he just exists just to essentially deliver the Gundam to our main character.
hmm Like I said, he's like the test pilot or delivery pilot.
He's Jason Statham. He's the transporter.
Well,
Except he's really fucking lame.
Amuro Gay. Okay, sorry. Yeah, he just seems like he doesn't even seem as cool as the chick who flew the Alex, right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's actually a good point. There is that he was able to keep up with the Red Gundam.
True. Okay.
But unfortunately, he just sort of kind of blends into the background. Unfortunately, and I wound up just forgetting he ever had that fight. So, as great as it is to be able to get those scenes, all I remember is he's just like I can't turn the engine over. I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do it.
He's not a closer.
No, he doesn't get coffee. Coffee's for closers.
Mm.
You're a new type, aren't you?
Xavier. With a name like that, you'd think he'd have the mental powers.
Do you think so? And also, just so then we jump back to Nian, who's tracking down her item, and you see they're playing it up more. She's got the little cat symbol there for herself, which for some reason I couldn't remember her name before, but now that I'm taking notice of these little cat things they're putting in and around her, I can't unremember it.
So she's a cat girl. Yes. Honorable mention.
Makes her best girl.
Yeah. This is a fun scene.
Yeah. I thought this was a fun scene. It's got this really interesting location. While we're up in space, we're still bringing in a little bit of our spiritualness with us.
There's something secluded and serene about it, and it's also you realize that not Nan, but the other one, the redhead, is she's much more street smart and clever than you initially got this is where you're like, oh, okay. Like, she's not the exact quite thing we thought she was a second ago, right?
Mm-hmm. And then we have the moments that are going to cause all the shippers to lose their shit.
Yeah, right. I was sensing some vibes. I wasn't going to say anything, but...
Well, and this is where I'm going to say, I'll say it since we got to this point, is this is going to be the palate cleanser for Witch from Mercury. This, if they want to do this tension the way that maybe it wasn't in Witch of Mercury, with two kids that seem a little bit more competent and understand what's going on, there's a lot more there, right? As opposed to we really want it to happen when it's just kind of a weird thing that her dad put in place in Witch from Mercury, right?
Ah, I see. So this in a way will kind of like retroactively make Witch of Mercury like better and kind of like shut the shippers up on that series.
I think, well, that and the fact that so many people that I've talked to that love Gundam didn't really even care to finish, or if they finished Witch from Mercury, they were just doing it because they had to and they wanted to see how some of it ended, but they didn't care by the end of it about the characters. People are going to care. Yeah,
there was almost a sense of obligation to finish it, like, because it was a Gundam series.
and people, because this is not Universal Century, this is an offshoot, this is a different timeline, and these are characters that in the first 10-15 minutes you're way more interested in what's going on, who they are, and the personality they show when they're dynamic. Like, it's already yeah, I mean, we're already there. Like, I want to know more.
Well, since we're right there, let me break in real quick just to invite on one more of our panelists who's showing up.
Oh, you gods! My roast is ruined. But what if I were to purchase fast food and disguise it as my own cooking?
Yep. With the Char sound track on the background. Yep.
It's almost appropriate.
You want some charred snacks?
Yeah, Zooks, my roast is ruined.
Evening.
So, actually, it's a really good time. It's actually a pretty good time that you came in, Snacks. Because I was gonna briefly touch on here.
What are we talking about?
Oh, we're going over the first episode of GQuuuuuuX.
Ah, yeah. It's the second half of the movie. It's the first part of the second half. Yep. Which is great. Did I freeze?
I don't think so.
Did Ironcaster freeze?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been having some issues, but he'll be back.
Oh.
So, Snacks, as someone who's seen it, you also know that there'll be a little bit more complication to what seems like they're setting up the bromance here with these two.
Yeah.
We're going to see another character that comes in to complicate this supposed romance that seems like they're setting up, and I know some people are probably gonna be quick to groan at this here because of
they're making me lesbians. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, last year was the year of lesbians in space, not this year.
Gamers, Gundam is woke.
Wow.
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 But
I really need to go upload more of my videos.
I don't think they're gonna go hard on the freaking because there's also the other character that drives in the Red Gundam. We're gonna meet him soon. I'm not gonna spoil it for
Ooh,
people
do you
who
think
care.
there'll be like a bisexual love triangle?
I don't see this, and to be fair, I didn't see this as a shipping. Now I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Some people will want that. I see this as two
Wax
kids
is
who
a-
are in like high school or 20s, early 20s, like the equivalent of the characters, the dynamic and willpower and the interesting characters I wanted in Witch from Mercury. I'm getting two protagonist main characters that have a lot more of a dynamic, a lot more their character development is already 10 times more than Witch from Mercury. Like, oh, I'm Soletta, I have all my sisters with me in my Gundam, right? And then I want to make your tomatoes great and beer and stuff.
Yeah, it was a bunch of weirdness.
Yeah,
Like it was set up so good. The prologue episode was amazing.
I know.
After that, it was
they tried to do 3 different shows, I think. But go on.
I think so. But yeah, I kind of agree with Punkwaddle. One of the characters, Machu, she is just like she's trying to jump into the fire because she just has that interest, and she has the plot armor. Obviously, it's just covered in it.
Well, she ultimately just wants her phone fixed.
Who's gonna pay for this?
Having had a cracked phone and how much I hated that, I completely emphasize in this.
Yeah, you still can use it, but it's you can still look up what part number is this piece of contraband right here.
Obviously, she went onto a War Thunder forum and found all the leaked blueprints on this top secret military tech.
Of course. Where else?
But yeah, anyway, it's all in all, I like the two characters together. I think they have a good little dynamic. Plus, I kind of like seeing Machu be this kind of short, bossy kind of character that doesn't come off as too overwhelming.
Yeah. And you notice the police officers are like, "What's with this graffiti?" that will come into effect. I noticed it because I watched the movie, but
Also, you know everything that's going to happen already.
to a certain extent, it feels like I barely watched anything. It feels like I just watched a teaser episode. Honestly, that's kind of what the movie was. It was the prologue and a teaser episode.
It was
Interesting.
I believe like the first 3 or maybe 4 episodes out of a 12 episode series.
Yeah, it's either 3 or 4, depending on how long they're gonna push the prologue. If the prologue's 2, then it's the 4, you know. But
Oh, Iron. So one thing I'm recognizing, I'm starting to realize mobile. I used to think Gundams and mobile suits were interchangeable, but now I'm realizing they're kind of separate things. Like, what is the difference between a Gundam and a mobile suit?
Okay.
the head unit,
It depends on what
Oh.
series, but go ahead.
So, by and large, the easiest thing to think of it as, all Gundams are mobile suits, but not all mobile suits are Gundams.
Yeah.
It's like if you're looking at cars, and a Gundam is just a type of car. They
Yeah.
are the Chrysler, and everyone else is driving around in a Jeep.
Or a
Yeah.
Pinto.
So they're like the Ferrari.
Yeah, and they in some of the early and depending on what series, it's the operating system or it's the alloy or it's
or
made out of
both.
yeah, it's a mixture of both. Basically, it has a better operating system and it has higher quality parts. So like when they get shot at and they're like, it didn't even scratch it when the Zaku's are blowing up and the Gundam's like, sure, whatever.
And it's also
No,
the
they're
mobility
sturdier.
factors. It's also it's either more sturdy or it's more agile,
Yeah.
and it's usually associated with for the good guy forces. Usually they're the
Right.
ones that build it. So whether that be the Federation or the I
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah, no. Like in other universes, like the good guy
Okay.
forces, whatever they are. You know what I mean?
So, one other thing to also point out, Gundams tend to be more usually they wind up being a prototype unit, an experimental unit, whereas they tend to be fighting a lot of mass-produced mobile suits. So, for example, the police units we saw here are effectively going to be decommissioned military vehicles that got turned into police equipment. So they became sort of a standardized police vehicle.
Yeah, they're leftover Zaku's from the 1 Year War
Mhm.
that got stripped down a little bit to a policing force kind of.
So even in space, they had the Patriot Act.
Pretty
Well,
much. It's space.
It's like, I mean, the fact that you realize not only is it grittier and all that stuff, but people, like I said, they're allowed to own a mobile suit, but as soon as it's like that eye's red, it's
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 armed.
active. Like
Yeah.
holy, nope, everything changes, right?
So you're not allowed to like mod like civilian mobile suits, I guess.
Well,
I
you're
would
not allowed to do that in real life either. You're allowed to have an F-16,
Hmm.
but you're not allowed to put 9Xs or a freaking a fully loaded Gao minigun inside it. You're not allowed to do that kind of stuff. As much as
Well,
awesome as that would be, but you're not allowed to arm up the certain.
So in
vehicles.
the initial scene, we did see a couple of these clan battle mobile suits, the civilian ones that did have some slight modifications. Like one had a grabber hand. So there are some changes that you will
Oh,
see that
that
were
was
on them.
that was the best thing in the first like 15, 20 seconds. It was a complete nod to Evangelion rebuild number 8 because it has the exact same arms that the pink one does in the rebuild in the movies, like grabber hands with the same like yellow with caution, stripe panels. It was just, yeah, that was just a complete nod to Evangelion.
Yeah, there's a lot of nods to Evangelion here, which
Mhm.
obviously makes sense, but
But that one
it's
was,
still
yeah.
shows Gundam most of the time. So
But that one was just got me right off the bat.
and even the giant terrorizing robots that smash through the city, which
Mhm.
is inside a freaking space colony, that would be super super scary. And they
Yeah.
really they really they show that, like, you really feel it.
So
Like,
so guys, what do we think about the redhead who's going to become like probably the second or third most Dojin drawn character of this entire series?
You think so? She barely talked.
She looks like the younger version of or maybe a younger niece of the villain from the Emperor's New Groove.
Yzma?
nah,
Yeah,
yeah, much younger, much younger.
but like she has the
Before she
face.
hit her stride.
Yeah. What's her age? 34. Where do people draw her? On Rule 34.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think the Haru's gonna
Wrong
Okay.
lever.
the
Oh,
Haru's
wow.
gonna steal the show. Like that thug out Haru with the slouchy beanie.
Thug life.
You gotta
Yeah.
love a Haru. I'm
So
glad that Amuro Ray, he never got into building or fighting in Gundams. He just stuck to building Harus.
Mm-hmm. Maybe.
this is true.
Because we never did know what happened to him. Oh, maybe I'm making a spoiler, but like Amuro Ray, we haven't heard from him yet. So
No, we've not. So just to point this out, Dash, that little ball robot that you saw in the episode with the hat on,
Yeah.
It's in her hands.
that's the Haro. That's a Haro. They are sort of a mascot of the franchise.
Well, I know there was one in the movie. There was
Oh,
one
yep.
in the.
Every series I'm pretty sure almost every series has a Haru.
Yep.
And they
So
started
the-
off, as Amuro's little invention.
they're the cute little mascot animal or
Yeah,
robot.
it's kind
I
of
should
like
say.
how a lot of iterations of Star Wars outside the original trilogy have an R2D2 like droid.
Mhm. Yeah.
They did it before Star Wars did BB-8.
I prefer BB from the Fallen Order games. He's much better than BB-8.
Yeah. I prefer Haro though. Haro over BB-8. Sorry.
BB.
Also, I gotta point out, I love the emotion they put onto Machu's face. There's so many of these
Mhm.
little like where she's annoyed. Plus, you really get to see the height difference between them. She's just so short.
Like
She's a new type, so
the
sorry. It's unconfirmed she's a new type, but I'm pretty sure she is.
well, yeah, but also like at first she's like, "What is it?" Like she when she Googles what she has, and she's like, "Holy crap, it's contraband!" You're like, okay, so she just knows it's contraband. No, she knows a lot more about what it is and why it's contraband. And then when the girl comes and like, tries to steal it back, but she was smart enough and is like, oh, this kid is like maybe more street smart than right.
She had a plan on how to trick her.
And
I
like,
like how they updated it. Like
mhm.
like in 1979, you're not gonna get like just your main character looking at their phone or worried about their screen getting broken or using
Right.
a freaking AirPod to track someone who stole their bag.
Right.
It's It's like all these little nods to like current current technology. It's just so like, hey, I can relate to that,
Mhm.
Then we get a nice little we get a little cut back to Xavier fighting with the Red Gundam, and I love this shot. We get to see up close the funnel bit with like the fuel tanks. We get to see all the little jets on it for that
Yeah.
perfect controlling of the propulsion on it. So it can have
Mhm.
these just stop on a dime, pivot, and change direction shots.
Yeah.
Opposed to like the little balls that you see in Double O, all the other ones.
Yeah, they just float around space.
Yeah, this one's just like, yes, this is how this thing moves.
That's a cool shot.
Oh, this, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody likes thrusters.
Yeah.
I like drawing thrusters on big robots.
I just don't. I'm still the aesthetic choice of how the backpack on the GQuuuuuX works is still not my favorite. It's
Yeah,
in
it's kind of
functionality. I'm
growing
okay
on
with.
me, but yeah, I agree.
And that's an interesting faceplate right there.
A lot of this has taken some time to grow on me, but it's starting to get there.
I didn't say it was bad. It looks like it's missing the white piece of like when you're building a gunpla over the chin, right? You know what I mean? Snack. It just feels like it's missing that white face, like mouth piece to go over.
You're right, but let's just keep it all red. That's what they wanted on the red Gundam.
Yeah.
They believe this is someone who played Warhammer 40K and believed red goes faster.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think 40K got it from?
Mhm.
The Ferrari, the red Ferrari. Yeah. Yeah.
I sort of see an Eva 02 face on the Gundam. Yeah, kinda.
And it is the number 2 because the white one is typically referred to as number 1, although technically 7802, but we're not going to go with that right now.
I'm trying to figure out how after the war this is. Is it like 6 years after the war? Is it 2 years after the war? I forgot how long.
I think this is at least 10 or 15.
Okay.
I'm gonna check the wiki, see if there's anything that specifies.
I was going to say I don't remember if they say it in the first episode.
5 years after the one year war.
Yeah, I figured it wasn't like over
Okay.
10. I knew it wasn't like crazy, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't correct you. Okay, 5 years after the 1 year war. Okay,
We're closer to 0083 time zone timeline.
So Xavier drops his piss bottles and it goes everywhere. The cops show up and they're like, "Let's go let's go pick up on all the slummers. We're gonna start breaking down their houses because we can, because we're the police. We're evil."
What were they looking for?
They had tracked down the 2 mobile suits in
Oh yeah.
colony.
Just rip off the house. They're refugees. Nobody cares. They're riffraff. So yeah, you have this class stigma.
Well, it's people in a position of power with authority that are going to abuse it. It's one of those universal truths of humanity.
But this goes back to what we were saying earlier. Usually, the way the typical in the UC timeline is depicted, you don't usually see the slums. You don't usually see the gritty part. So that once again takes the Evangelion sort of side and juxtaposing, imposing that into the side of humanity of the Gundam universe that I'm just saying is one of the things we typically don't see on any of the sides. It's usually pretty clean, pretty like test tube living, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is a neutral zone, so it's not the Xeons that are corrupt. It's the people on the side. Though you don't want to get court-martialed by Vice Admiral freaking what's his name, Makuve. They name drop Makuve. I was just like, Of course, he's still alive.
If so now because they're gonna start tearing all the buildings apart, we got to move our clan battle suit. Otherwise, they might
Stomp it, find it, and then confiscate it. Yep.
Which would be terrible.
I believe that's what he's trying to say. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Froze on us again.
He's gone to binary clicks and ones and zeros.
He's 1-0-0-0-1. But
He has a weird face.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
that's the only one he's got. Come on, guys.
Freeze frame, freeze frame, freeze frame, freeze frame.
Freeze frame. But yes, so what are we looking at? Oh, he's gone. Well, this is awkward.
Yeah, it's very uncomfortable.
So, Punkwaddle, how are you feeling about the show so far? I know
Well,
you didn't see the movie, but
right, and I'm fine with that because it's all going to be revealed in the show, I believe. But
yeah,
so
yeah,
far,
I'm like 100%.
like I said,
sure still.
the stump, I was saying before you got here, the stumpy white base that looks a little green.
Oh, yeah, the
there's-
greened out base.
Yeah,
I like the paint
And-
job actually.
it's very Xeonic, right?
It's very Xeonic, yeah.
They kept a few nods to the white, but the Xeonic, and like I said, there's
It's still
some
Pegasus class.
yeah,
It's just painted green for Xeon.
right. That's why it's fun to call it the white base green. Anyway, but right, so far, like I said, I'm liking this better than Witch from Mercury because even if we have two female leads, I feel like they're being done right, not for Western audience or not for anything else.
It still
They're
feels
doing-
very Japanese. It doesn't feel like forced or anything.
and
Yeah,
the
and
art
there will-
style is a lot more stylized than what we're used to getting from Gundam too. So that's
There is
cool.
going to be a male counterpart that's going to go in there, and you're
Oh.
definitely going to see it. And I don't think it's like the Witch from Mercury where they had like a couple male counterparts, but they're all like shitty in their own shitty way.
Yeah, because all of them were pawns of somebody else that are like,
yeah.
Oh, that was weird. Sorry about that, folks.
That's okay.
Speaking of pawns,
Yeah,
we're just it's Iron Master's and we're just living in it.
something like that.
Ay.
So what were you saying, Ironcaster? Before you, I tried to continue on what you were about to say as you were frozen, but I was just guessing.
Where did I leave off?
It's a great question.
That's a good question. I forgot. That's why I asked you.
Well, I guess it was getting to. They stole the gun. They had to move. They had to move the mobile suit in order to avoid the police coming in and taking it because they're the ATF.
Yep.
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
It's armed. Ah!
Yeah, I don't think the ATF would allow me to have a Gundam or any kind of mobile suit. It's just a Zaku F Unit 2. What the heck?
Yeah.
Hey, Xeon. Sneaking around here. What you doing sneaking around here, you Dan Zeke?
Now, Philip, we both know that if California had done the style, they would all be bean mouths.
Okay, they'd be pudgy, overweighted, curly-haired, bean mouth. With identities that may or may not be ambiguous.
Yeah, I like how she just like, hops, skips, and jumps, and like, I'm in the Gundam now. I gotta pilot this thing. Get away from my people.
Yeah, there's too much shading for Cal art style.
Yeah.
Shading? What's that? We don't do that.
Apparently,
And then she barely touches it and it activates, and the pilot's like, "Holy crap, she activated it!" Yeah.
And
I had
then,
to
lot of
become a
stuff.
cyber new type, and I'm going insane. Ah!
and then we get the cool little robot. We get the cool little hands coming out that she almost doesn't even need, because on a few occasions we actually see the mobile suit like moving based on her instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you
But they're
got
good
the
to have.
coolest Haro just chilling there.
Yeah,
He
she-
does look
she
really
just-
cool.
She just took that lady's Haro.
Yeah.
I think the
Machu's
Haro
like,
followed her. It jumped right on her, and she just like didn't drop it.
Yeah, I think that's part of it.
Haro. Or
Maybe
maybe the Haro was with the other guy, and he was like trying to fix it, and then it just hopped in with her. I don't
no,
know.
the Haro came from the redhead, the other redhead.
Yeah, I know that.
Okay.
Haro does what he wants.
Yeah.
Leave that poor little guy alone.
I did not leave him alone. I'm confused what's going on now. The transformation's pretty cool though, I give you that.
Oh, there's our boy. There's
yeah,
probably like one of the best characters, like straight up, like just unutilized in the original, and he's being
he, as the kids say, he got the glow up.
he got yeah, he got a lot of glow up. Yeah, like he was touted as like one of the best pilots ever in
Mhm.
Zeon Forces, and then he joins up with Char, his team, right? And he faces off with the Gundam, and he gets freaking murked the second
Mhm.
mission. And it's just like, oh no, I only get 2 episodes of that guy. And Casilla is like,
So-
I guess he wasn't truly a new type or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Cecilia is pretty harsh.
She is super harsh.
So the fight leads on. They lead it outside with the airlocks, and then we have to have Gundam fights in space.
And she's like, I need a weapon.
and
Right.
then the space autism kicks in.
I still
Hey,
think
you
the feet of that thing are weird.
You got to be careful with the space autism. You will get isekai if you're not careful.
Mm.
I mean, we say it, we joke about it, but it's kind of what it winds up always being. It's like they all wind up being these super weirdos. These like they all wind up being these weird kids that just always stand out, getting to like have all the crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Women
Wow.
just like,
No, I totally understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But look at
I
the
like it.
feet
He
on
was-
those things.
He was
They look
going like straight mid rift, like
yeah,
going
I know.
ham into it. I was just like, yeah, go Ironcaster, and then he freezes.
I know.
And now he's gone again.
Oh, but those feet, they're like hooves. Like
Yeah, they're kind of like who's.
it's kind of like what.
I don't know why he keeps doing this,
It's
but
another-
apparently I think we need to cut it. I think we need to start wrapping it up, because this is going to keep happening to me.
Oh no.
Over and over again.
Well, we covered most of the episode anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it all sort of ends, and
It felt shorter,
Like-
but maybe that's because I watched the movie. So,
Mhm.
but I did like the ending though. The ending credits were great.
Yeah.
there's a lot of little bits in this that I want to see. What I want to see turned into gifs
Mm.
Yeah, 100%.
that I would use to replace my background.
I'd totally do it too.
It's really interesting how eclectic all this is. Like this is something you'd expect to see in maybe some kid's apartment, like right now.
Yeah. And it's just like goes into the end, and
Mhm.
then it previews the next episode, which is the start of the movie, which is Operation where Char steals the Gundam, because
Mm,
That's what Gundams get. They always get stolen
I know.
for the most part. Very few of them like remain unstolen.
Hmm. And then Seed, it just happened all the freaking time. And then Seed Destiny, they got stolen all over again, like infinitely.
It's so true.
There was no justice, or there was infinite justice. One of the
I finished Zeta, which I love freaking Zeta so much. But Double Zeta, man, it's just like every other episode. It's like, hey, someone's stealing the mobile suit. Hey, someone's
like-
stealing the Zeta Gundam. Someone's stealing the
or the, even like
everything.
the gold astray in Seed or Seed, you know.
Yeah, that gets stolen. Everything gets stolen in Double Zeta. This Double Zeta is just like, it's like, hey, Gundams don't actually have keys, so anyone could steal them.
I believe
It's
it.
true. They don't. It's like helicopters and really any military vehicle. None of them have keys, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. It's just
Oh,
like, yeah,
Yeah.
you could totally
Well-
steal the.
Well, do you remember though the Netflix version? They actually had special keys that they had to get to pilot the Gundam, and that was like the first time we'd ever seen anything like that.
Yeah. Apparently, Xeon for their Zaku's, they're like, yeah, let's make sure we don't have random crewman number 5 pilot the Zaku and stomp on half the base while they're trying to defend us.
Seems like a
Makes
good
sense,
idea.
I guess. You know.
So, I suppose to work on wrapping things up. What do you guys think about the first episode? And Snacks, I know you and I have already seen the movie take on this, but
Yep.
putting this in and of itself, this is now my third viewing of this. Like I've gone and watched this like twice today in kind of preparation for the show.
Oh, the episode. Okay.
Yes.
This
On its own, I think it's a pretty decent little start. I like the characters. I'm gonna say it's a decent like 7 out of 10 right now.
Yeah, I did like this part of the movie, and it played pretty much beat for beat with the show. I don't see too much of a variance, which I did like this part. I liked the movie a lot, and this was a good setup for new characters in a new world. Well, a else world, which is a thing that usually doesn't happen in Gundam. They usually just get a new universe in general, but yeah, this one's different, which is cool, which is interesting concept. Not new, but new to Gundam, which I like. And all in all, I give it about a 7.5. Actually, I'm gonna bump it up just a little bit, just because.
Well, the other thing about it, I think, is the fact that while we have moments that someone could arguably look at and say, just to go there is stuff in there that people could look at and say, yeah, this seems like this could easily be played up as sort of a lesbian moments. But there's also a bit of an innocence to it that isn't getting played up like we're going to make sure these characters are getting married is like the goal of half the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's the difference between Western writers and Eastern writers who don't have this activist mindset and they just want a little Yuri in their Gundam show.
Yeah, no.
And
We can definitely tell. We can tell what their motivations are, and it's not like love romance. No, one is like in crippling debt. That's why she's taking like Uber Eats / contraband for illegal products.
Yeah.
She's pretty much like a
runner,
DoorDasher. Yeah, she's
courier.
she's a courier service
Mhm.
that's
essentially.
a good point.
Yeah. And the other one's just digging for adventure because she's bored out of her mind or something. I don't know what she was about, but she is kind of like
Well, we know her
that
motivation. She wants her
that
phone
call for
fixed.
adventure. Yeah, and that her phone, obviously.
Yeah. Fix my phone.
That was kind of the kick in the phone for adventure.
So-
Adventure's calling. Yeah, Adventure's calling with
so-
a broken phone.
So, Punkwaddle, did you happen to get give me a score?
I hadn't yet. I would definitely say I might even go. I might go 8 out of 10 because there's a whole lot going for it. The fact that it is a mix of Gundam and Evangelion, although it is clearly in a Gundam universe, You can tell there's crossover. You can tell it's inspired by. So because it's something fresh and new, and because I really didn't know how they were going to deal with this or where they were going to go with it, just seeing the models, but seeing the characters, seeing that, again, you get the parallel of a young kid who's possibly a new type, just sits in the Gundam and is operating it better than any of them can, right? Nice. And so it's just, it does what, which from Mercury did, because she already had her Gundam, right? She already was one with her Gundam, and she could get the permanent score higher. She wasn't happenstanced into this position, right? I think that was the big thing about Wish from Mercury.
She
And now
was
I'm going to
already
stop.
an ace. Yeah, she was
Right.
already
So I'm
an
not
ace.
going to compare it to Wish from Mercury anymore. I think it really does go back to, pays a lot more homage to the original lore, the original themes, right? There's a lot of parallels that just make it like, this is just fun, exciting. The characters have reason to be where they're at. We're learning why, their motivations, and it all adds up in a way that the tension, the need for action, the need to resolve this issue. There's a bigger fight. They're fighting the police. They're getting all sorts of complicated into something. Like, it just feels, oh, it's a Gundam show, and it's spiraling quickly.
We're dipping our toes in, and we're not getting completely thrown into the deep end on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we didn't even get that impression while watching the movie. I mean, I don't think you did. I definitely didn't. It felt like a. Well, obviously, I said this before, and I'll say it again. It felt like we watching the backstory and a teaser of the main story, kind of.
And, I will say this. When they previewed, they talked about clan battles, but clearly there's something bigger going on, and then they're just hacking it out with some Zaku axes, heat hawks.
Oh,
right?
There's always going to be some big political. It's Gundam. Come on now. We already know.
I know, but
score.
I will say that I certainly hope going forward that I can't wait to see some more of the merchandise, and I hope we get some more Mecha Musume for this series, including something like Machu.
Why?
Machu Picchu? Huh?
Machu with the gangster Haru's
She got
hat.
the Haru beanie. Oh,
she needs to have
she
it.
got the Haru beanie. Yeah,
she has it on right now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Dash, given that you don't have as much of the similar kind of background exposure to Gundam, to the Universal Century, I most want to know your thoughts in wrapping up.
I honestly think it's a cool concept to do something a little bit more civilian oriented, and then just like have this adventure that just spirals out. Maybe not just like, with the Armo getting thrusted into a war, and so like I'll definitely check out another episode.
That's exactly what I want to hear. I mean, hopefully we can get more people to take a little notice of this, and especially with all those rumors about Sydney Sweeney possibly being tied into Gundam. One can only hope we get some of the best of it, but I don't want to quite keep pressing my luck here, so I think we might just go ahead and wrap up here before my internet decides it wants to pull the plug on me again. I have the links to these guys' channels down in the description. Punkwaddle's got his Ponderance coming up during the week. Check that out for a little bit of penguin wisdom and a little bit of punk law. Snacks is down on Wednesdays doing his he'll be tomorrow doing nipping and nagging, doing some mech building, doing some little bit of sewing, doing a little bit of crafts and hobby work, and hanging out doing a live stream. And Dash has a bunch of gaming coming up. So I just want to quickly wrap this up so I can get off before everything dies out on me again.
Yep.
Okay, all right, everyone, you guys have been fun. This has been great. Watch Gundam because Gundam is awesome. And Punkwaddle, what do you have to say?
Yep.
Cut it.
Let me find a clip.
Get the flamer. The heavy flamer.